Hi there, Jeff here from the Wetsuit Centre, talking to you today about the C Skins Rewired Winter Wetsuit for 2014 into 2015. So the C Skins Rewired is a bit of a performance wetsuit, so it's a suit that doesn't cost too much but does offer a huge amount of flexibility, so it's a really good suit for people that don't like to feel too restricted. So we'll tell you a little bit about how they do that in a second. It's essentially down to the neoprene. But those of you who aren't familiar with C Skins are an international company based in the UK, so selling wetsuits as far as Australia, those sort of places. They've got some really good team riders. They specialise in wetsuits that are going to keep you nice and warm, but give you loads of flexibility as well. The suits typically are a little bit chunkier than some of the sort of competitors, and the reason being that if you're surfing in the UK, which is where they're based, you need that chunk to keep you nice and warm. So they've got a good following over in the UK. So they're really specialised over the last, or focused over the last couple of years, fine-tuning their suits, getting a good range which basically caters for everyone, but also getting the fit of their suits spot on as well. So lengthily testing has come up with what they call future fit, and the future fit is basically hopefully a fit which fits most people's body shapes, or will at least will have a wetsuit which will fit pretty much everyone's body shape. So as long as you follow the size guide on the website, you should be able to get a suit which fits spot on. So the Rewired is a 543 in terms of thickness, so the sort of fundamental thickness of the neoprene, and as I said before, they do offer a good bit of chunk. So with 5mm with a C Skins wetsuit is a healthy 5mm, you can see there, and the idea being there, it really just gives you lots of insulation. You can't get around it, the fact that essentially if you want to keep nice and warm in water that gets down to sort of 5 or 6 degrees, you need that good chunky neoprene. So that's the whole way through the lower part of the suit. You've got 4mm under the arms, and then you've got 3mm kind of over the arms where you need loads more flexibility. C Skins use their super stretch neoprene the whole way through the suit. As you can see, big panels of neoprene. They don't use the smooth skin on the front or on the back, and the reason being, the less seams that you have, the more flexibility you have throughout the entire wetsuit. All of the seams that are in the wetsuit are strategically placed and shaped to make sure they match the contours of your body and make sure that they don't give any restriction. Okay, and that's the whole way through the wetsuit. So no seam over the bum, and any seam around the sort of lumbar. Even the seam around the lumbar is dipped to make sure that you don't get any kind of restriction when you're moving up and down. So all of these things are thought about. Some of the standard features that you would expect, like the Duraflex knee pads. It's the standard sort of like material they use on knees these days to make sure the suit doesn't wear through, so which is especially useful if you're learning, because that's typically where the suit will wear through. Okay. The suit itself is a chest entry wetsuit, which I'll go through in a second. But that's pretty much everything going on the outside of the wetsuit. It's just really down to the super stretch neoprene, minimal panelling, and you don't have any sort of panels of thermal layering, that kind of stuff, which weigh the suit down, so it gives you lots of flexibility. Okay, the chest entry then, I'll sort of go through that with you. So the chest entry, it's quite straightforward. Some people don't like the chest entry because they're harder to get in and out of. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad, and the benefits of a chest zip is the fact you don't have a zip running down the back, which obviously gives you more flexibility through the back of the wetsuit, but also you have an unbroken collar around the top of the wetsuit, which gives you hopefully a bit more flexibility. Not flexibility, sorry, gives you a bit of a better seal around your neck, so you're not going to get so much of a flush through. The inside of the collar is a smooth skin material. Make sure that it creates a good bond with your neck and you don't get flush throughs again, and then also to stop you getting any kind of rash. This collar is single lined, so basically you have one piece of neoprene, okay, and on the inside that single lining, nice and smooth against the skin, less restrictive, so really good for people that don't like that sort of tight double roll neck around their neck. Okay, so that's pretty much how it works. So you've got the top piece here which goes over the top of the actual wetsuit itself. On the inside you have the wetsuit itself, and then you have the chest piece sewn over the top. Okay, so any water that comes in through the collar, instead of going into the wetsuit, meets the inside panel of the suit here, is drained out through the side or through the drain hole on the arm. I do believe there's a couple around the back as well, basically just so it doesn't sit around in the chest zip system. There's two pieces of neoprene which are met up at the top, which allows you to open up nice and wide, and once you open it nice and wide, you can turn it sort of inside out down to the waist and then get in nice and easily. Okay, and then pull it up and over your body. So really, it's like the inside here is really kind of the actual wetsuit itself, and then the chest zip goes up and over the top, creating a really good seal, making sure a minimal amount of water will actually get into the wetsuit. Then you've got the key, the little key loop here basically, so as long as you haven't got an electronic key, you can just pop it in there and it's absolutely fine. Okay, not too much to show on the inside of the suit, because essentially there's no thermal liner or anything like that. But one thing that is worth mentioning is the suit itself is taped in critical areas. So with the C Skins flat tape there, just runs across the insides of the seams. So the seams themselves are glued and blind stitched and then taped on the inside, just to make sure that they're nice and strong, they're not going to fall apart, but also that no water gets in through the seams. Okay, so it's fully sealed, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But essentially 100% super stretch the whole way through the wetsuit. Very tough and durable wetsuit, so it's nice and strong and won't fall apart with all the taping and all the sort of bonded seams and stitching and everything. It should last you a long time. And there's a lot to be said for not having too many bells and whistles and keeping the suits simple like they used to be. It does seem to make the suits last a little bit longer and less likely to fail. So that's definitely a bonus, but obviously the downside is it's not going to be as warm as, say, like the wired or the hot wired or any other sort of competitor suit which has loads of thermal lining, but it is going to be lighter. So it's an ideal suit for people that maybe don't feel the cold as much, and their biggest priority is to have a suit which is nice and flexible. But having said that, if you did go for the suit and did find yourself getting a bit cold, you can always add a bit of a thermal rash vest just to give you that layering that you need. So it's a really good wetsuit, and it's not too expensive, sort of mid-range price, nice and straightforward, full stretch wetsuit by a great company, which is C Skins, so definitely a recommendation.